Welcome to Digital Hospitality. My name is Shawn Walchef with Cali Barbecue Media. Today we are doing a behind-the-scenes tour with the CEO of Farmers Insurance Open, Marty Gorsich. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. My first podcast. Be gentle with me today.
We will be very gentle. We're very excited. Give us a quick breakdown of what's happening next week.
Well, the Farmers Insurance Open's kind of San Diego's annual event and showcase of all things San Diego. So while we've got great tournament golf here and lots to be said on that with Tiger Woods and all the other great athletes, it's also a huge signature event for our city. We live in a great event town. This is the only event we have that's on national television annually, international television actually, on an annual basis. So it really is a big undertaking, a lot more than some people realize it is, and it's grown a lot in the last few years to go from kind of that golf tournament that happens up at Torrey Pines to one of those kind of don't miss events in town.
Well, it's such a don't miss event. You've done such a great job that even US Opens have come here.
Yes, yeah, we've with the city kind of really enhanced the look and feel of this course, really elevated the experience and the quality of the course and the build out, which you'll see when we're out there later today. And it put it up there on the radar of the USGA, who runs the US Opens, and helped them realize that it can be a municipal course that's still on par with all the great courses that are out there to consider.
It's super exciting. How many spectators are we expecting between those 4 days of golf?
I'd say about 150,000 people out here.
150,000.
Woo! Big crowds. There's a lot of grass, but just the same, you keep a lot of the folks in some of the main areas where a lot of the food and drink and experiences are. So how you handle that volume of people in that kind of set area is always a balancing act that we're very careful with.
Well, we appreciate you giving us kind of a behind the scenes of what it takes, because having come to the event and having catered, actually, you and I met because of Ari Siegel,
right.
Former president of the San Diego Gulls. He introduced us and said, I think you guys should meet. You were COO at the time?
I was.
You said, what kind of activation do you want to do? And turns out we did media.
Yep.
A sign of things to come.
Yeah, it was great to have you there.
Let's go check it out.
Sounds good. Let's
All
go.
right. You guys have a couple carts?
Yeah, there's a few. They showed up yesterday.
So how many carts are at Torrey Pines Golf Course
right
before
now?
You come?
Oh, before we come, it's just what's in the pro shop. So these guys can answer, but I would tell you, they use it for people playing.
So how many does a typical pro shop have?
We'll ask Carl, because he's got two courses.
Okay. So, that's right, 2 courses.
So he does have to manage 2 courses, but that's it. And then CBS carts, our caterers carts,
and those are
everyone
separate.
Else,
those
that's
are
all special order that comes in after the fact. And that's when it gets crazy.
Wow. It's a lot of carts.
It's a ridiculous amount that they have already, and then you go, I think we go
Wow.
3x that. This is just normal operations for them.
Normal operations. That's not for you guys.
This is generally their stuff. They brought in some extra, you can see in the side packs. So they brought in extra for their needs, and then this doesn't even contemplate CBS.
When is the course closed? When is it closed?
We closed
for
to the public on Monday afternoon. Last rounds went off just before noon. So we take it over for about 10 days to let the course heal and prepare, and then really operationally to free everybody up that last time to really fly around.
You can't be having errant balls when people are setting up fencing.
No, and letting the course heal. I mean, you'll see the course conditions are phenomenal, and that only happens. This is the most played course on the PGA Tour.
Wow.
Because it's a muni. So they're packing it. A lot of these are at country clubs where they're going to get half or less of the play on a daily basis. So you're going to get a lot of people out here, and with that, you've got to let the course heal and let the ball marks kind of heal up. And so got to close it down, let the course be ready, and then let the people operationally fly around and do what they need to do too, without worrying about the etiquette of play going on everywhere too.
So is it going to be the same for US Open next year? Will be 10 days, or is that you'll find out how it plays this year?
Yeah, and we don't operate the Open. That's another group. Yep. They do.
But they lean on you.
They are. We've got a great working relationship, but they do things.
It's the same way MLB All-Star Game comes into Petco and takes over Petco.
Yep. You try to be a good neighbor. Yeah. The difference there, the Padres own the ballpark.
Yep.
We definitely don't own the golf course, so
that's true.
You definitely handle that situation
a little bit differently. True.
But we try to do our best to help make sure everything goes smoothly for them, and that they can have a great experience where they're here. They definitely appreciate coming to a place where a tournament happens.
Yeah.
Because some of the other places the Open's played, they don't have a PGA event, so they don't have kind of the history and the infrastructure.
You don't have people like you telling them
exactly, offering our input.
This worked and this didn't.
Yeah, watch out for
this. Don't do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead, they get to go figure it out on their own, which isn't always as fun. Discovery isn't always the most exciting way.
Absolutely not for live sporting events.
Yeah.
So both courses are activated for the tournament.
Thursday, Friday, we play on both.
Thursday,
then
Friday,
we
both.
cut the field in half, and we go just to the south. So all the infrastructure is almost completely built out on the south side because you use it for 4 days.
Yes.
And the way the margins work with the expense of building it and utilizing it,
Yes.
it doesn't make sense to do it on the side with 2 days. So
Do you want to give us a quick idea of the scope?
Yep, we can, if you guys want a shot of the course map, this gives you a feel. This is just a south course. It's where we do the majority of our activations because it doesn't make sense to build stuff on that side when we only play 2 days over there. So we do pretty much everything over here where the 4 days are. So
And the most volume traffic is Saturday, Sunday, right?
those are our biggest days
Heavy
for
days,
sure.
yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Friday does still very well as well, but the weekend's a whole nother animal for people. So kind of gives you a layout of everything going on, and you see lots of circles and squares and other things to grab your eye. A lot of that is stuff we've added over the last few years, evolving from golf to event. You'll see things like the Grey Goose Lounge and the Build-A-Bars by Anheuser-Busch, and a lot of food experiences, fan engagement activations. That's a lot of the additional stuff we brought in that didn't used to exist here as we've kind of grown from just a golf tournament to one of those more broadly appealing social events.
I like that. You guys, it's build a bar, not build a bear.
No,
I
it is
like
not.
that. It's an adult build a bear.
When you see the Build-A-Bar, those things are awesome.
That's great. What year did you start here?
2013.
2013.
Was my first tournament. I started in April of 12.
April of 12. Grow up playing golf?
Nope. Not a golf guy at all, which
Not
is
a
why they
golf
brought
guy
me
at all.
here.
Which is what they wanted, a non-golf guy. That's fascinating.
It had been run by golf people, and we were a
Yes.
golf tournament. But
Yes.
what they weren't looking at, and what my 14 years with the Padres had taught me was, if you're selling, winning, and losing, you're going to lose. The league's going to end at 500. You need to control what you can control, which is the experience. So it's not their sports dollar; it's their entertainment dollar. So food, drink, customer service, quality experience, things to see and do to fulfill people's time is really the key, and that often was being lost as the focus was on what great golfers we had. Also, our biggest opportunity was always Tiger Woods. Our biggest strength was always Tiger Woods, but our biggest threat and weakness was also that there'd be a day without Tiger.
Yeah.
And so
And how do you prepare for that?
As we looked at that, it's just like a team that banks on winning. Sure, it's great if you're going to win every year, but that's not going to always happen. So how do you keep that fan base? How do you give that experience when you don't? You look at a casino. They're built on people going and actually losing money.
Yes.
But people keep coming back because it's their entertainment dollar at the end of the day. So coming over here without a golf background was actually beneficial because I was able to look past a lot of those things and say, how are we doing outside the ropes? And at that time, we weren't doing all we could do.
And by ropes, what do you mean, for the people that don't know?
They rope off the golf course. And so we kind of, when I was with the Padres or the Blazers, it was on field or on course or on the court versus kind of up in the stands and outside it. The Padres, the first floor was our business team, and the second floor was the baseball side. And each group had their responsibilities. I'd say it's the same here. Inside the ropes is the competition and the golf. Outside the ropes is where the fans sit, is where it's the marketing and the experiences and the restrooms and the food and the drink and all the other things that we really touch individually throughout the process.
And golf is unique as a sport because exactly of the ropes is the personal connection that a fan, how close a fan can get to Tiger Woods. I mean, it's not like football. It's not like even NBA courtside. You're still, that's only limited to such a select few people. We're talking about herds of people following one human.
Being that close.
The Tiger
Being
effect.
able to come here as a general ticket holder and get that close to the athlete. Usually that access is reserved for the highest end customers, and that you can get out that close and have that experience is truly unique in the sport.
That's incredible. So this is
18th hole. When we came here about 8 years ago, we had 8 suites here. So that would be probably just past where that blue TV area is. We went up the side just a little ways. Now we're out to 28 of them, and we're actually can't build it further out because we're up against trees. So It's grown quite a bit, and more people just adds to the experience. You get out here and you hear the roars and the volume of people, and you see the size of the build out, and it just makes it feel more magical, much more like you're a part of something.
So these are corporate partners that are buying suites? Is
Correct.
that how,
Yep.
that's how they're categorized?
Yep, much like you see suites in a ballpark or in an arena, these are corporate hospitality.
And corporate hospitality, they have to buy for 4 days? Or you have a la carte?
We have day specific.
Got it.
Yep, absolutely.
Perfect. Great.
Here, we'll let this guy get by us. So he's going to drop down, all right?
But this is where on Sunday we're going to learn who the champion is for the weekend.
That's the goal. If it happens on another hole, it means we were in a playoff, and
Yes.
that adds a whole nother dynamic to what we try to execute out here. So we're going to hope it's on 18.
I was here for the playoff, whatever year that was with Tiger. That was exciting stuff.
Yeah, we've had, in my years, I think we've had 4 playoffs. So
Wow.
we've learned the twists and turns that
You
come
learn how
with
to be
that.
flexible.
That's it. It
Yes.
adds excitement, but
Yes.
it does add some twists and turns.
Perfect.
So yeah, it's an interesting, as we talk about the rope lines and the fans, an interesting balance between, just like anywhere else, the corporate guest and the general ticket buyer, and providing value to each of those is really essential.
Well, I mean, part of experience is access, right?
Absolutely.
And that's the ability to sell exclusive access or select access and opportunity to, let a corporate client come and host. I mean, I've been fortunate to have a lot of friends that have invited me to their box, and it's an incredible opportunity.
It is.
The food is catered there. You're able to sit there and watch the golfers come through, which is unique.
It's also a very different entertainment mechanism than some of the other sports. You have a long period of time to kind of enjoy people, and you don't have the intensity of the competition. You take when the Chargers were here in town and you go to a box there, it was a great experience, but there was an intensity
Yes.
to trying to engage with people. It
Yes.
wasn't always light. And also you could have a great day, a great experience with your guests at a Charger game or a football game, other sporting events, and the game comes down to the final minutes and your team loses. You can leave that day
This is true.
feeling unfulfilled, and it can kind of take away.
Yes.
One of the nice things out here is you really don't run into that experience. I mean, you might be rooting for a certain golfer, but very rarely are you going to be so connected to that individual that them not being the eventual champion is somehow going to put a damper on what a wonderful day you had.
I never thought of it, but that's true. That's kind of the same way in tennis, but I guess in tennis you're more committed to a certain player, but in golf definitely you have a field of players and you're just more interested in the storyline.
Storyline.
You want a great ending.
Storyline, great ending, great competition, and just a great experience.
Yeah.
What we can control is so much greater. Again,
Yes.
the views, the sight lines, the food, the drink, even little things that people don't think about with outdoor events, but restrooms. One of
Yes.
the most important topics, quality of a restroom, especially to a lot of our female guests. And
Yes.
as we all know, if the female guest attends, it can add to the experience for the male guest. Everyone wins, but often overlooked in outdoor
Very
events.
overlooked. We have season ticket holders for the Chargers, and when we were tailgating in Qualcomm with 300 people, we got to the point where we personally rented our own restroom for the women coming to the tailgate because it is that important.
Absolutely. It's something we overlooked before coming here. And one of those odd things when you talk about fiscal responsibility of us as a nonprofit and investing in things, when you start talking to a board about the need to invest in nicer restrooms, and they're not as close to that to understand
Sure.
the difference it can make. But we've done that, and over time you see the feedback from guests. It's so well received. It's such an important part of your business. Back to experience, it doesn't always lead the list, and for those of us who had experience in brick and mortar facilities, you don't even think about it.
Correct.
But when you come out here, it's really an essential part of what we do.
Well, let's go see what else the course has to offer today.
All right, let's go.
So all the manicuring that's getting done on the course, that's all done by the staff, the Torrey Pine staff.
Of the city,
Of the
city of
city.
San Diego. We are not allowed to touch any grass work, tree work, etc., because it's city and municipal, very controlled. So
Are
even
they advised by the PGA as to what the standard is for that grass?
PGA comes in, their head agronomy team will come in, and they'll
What are
have
they called?
meetings. Agronomy.
Agronomy.
So the PGA Tour has an agronomy and competitions department that will come in advance and check in throughout the year about course conditions. A lot of their team in earnest got on site yesterday, and they'll be doing course tours. They'll talk about mowing and lines and watering and saturation. And it's a lot more technical than you or I trying to keep our front yard together.
Yes.
They're looking at things at a whole nother level.
Yes. But as they're advising, they're not actually doing.
They're advising, but
Testing,
I'd say
advising,
it's
testing.
strong advisement too,
It's strong
because
advisement.
if you plan to have their competition at your place, you have agronomic standards that we've got to live up to.
Yes. The media was right behind there when we did the catering.
Yes, we've
Is it
since
still
moved
there?
them out by one. We've
Oh, you
grown
moved them by one. That makes sense.
since you were here. We've grown quite a bit.
The media should be by hole 1, which is also next to hole 18.
Yep, gets them a little closer to where they want to be.
That's much more logistically makes more sense.
We've got the Grey Goose fan area. We've got more
So
suites.
the sponsors that are partners with Farmers Insurance Open,
Yep.
are they also partners with PGA, or is that how does that relationship work?
It's a lot like the professional leagues. You will have some people who in the PGA world are called OMPs, official marketing partners.
Okay.
And they'll be like a league sponsor, just
So-
like you'd see in the NFL or MLB. They'll
Okay.
sponsor the league and they'll choose to work with some teams. An OMP would choose to work with some events. But when they're a league sponsor or a tour sponsor, it has no direct impact on us. If they're with Coke, we can work with Pepsi.
Yep.
If they're with Budweiser,
Got it. It's not
we
an
can work with
exclusive.
Coors. However, when they do work with the league, you know they have an affinity for golf and what we do. So they're often great prospects to get started talking to. And many times in our space, this outdoor event, they'll have different things that they can bring to our event to add value to it because
Yes.
they've invested in things. They move from event to event.
Okay.
Grey Goose here is a great example. We'll show you later. They bring a very nice interior build out and build a whole kind of pop-up bar. That's a great addition. Up here, we're going to be putting in the Budweiser. You mentioned the Build-A-Bars. There's
Are we
four.
going up?
Yep, we can walk up here.
Sweet.
4 giant semis.
Okay.
And the semis actually fold down on all sides, TVs, bar stools, and turn into these giant portable bars. And
Really?
they're a blast. They're great. As a sponsor of the tour, they've invested in these and they'll drive them around tournament to tournament. So when you partner with them, you're not only getting kind of the traditional sponsorship, you're getting to use some of those assets at your own event.
Correct.
So over the coming days here at the end, we'll start loading those assets in place and you'll see a nice course build out, but it's amazing over the next 5 days when those last things all kind of drop in and come into play, you'll see the whole course kind of transform. We call it lipstick day around here.
Okay, yeah, what's lipstick day?
It's a little like, you know, being very
Which day is
sensitive.
this? What day of the week?
Tuesday is really the true lipstick
So
day.
tournament week, Tuesday.
Yes,
Okay.
because you know, as a female's getting ready, you know, you plan the outfit, you get dressed up, you put on your makeup, you do your hair, you do everything. The last thing you do, and it brings it all together, is in front of the mirror putting that lipstick on, right?
I like it.
A little like building a house. It takes a long time to build it, and there's so much foundational work and everything, but that last stretch,
Yes.
where you really put the finishing pieces in place, that's where it comes together and makes it look really beautiful. That's here. We've got a lot of tenting and flooring and power and railing and things that take us months to do. We start this build November 1st. It's really
so
intense.
infrastructure, is this infrastructure that you guys own, that you guys rent?
We rent it.
You rent it.
Yeah,
So you have
yeah.
partnerships because you got to have people that understand what's going on here.
It's a big deal. The permitting and the things that go along with structures that'll hold this many
Safety.
people. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a lot to think about, and so you want to work
ADA
with people
accessibility.
who understand all of these topics and have quality equipment.
Yes.
We owe our fans to have a very clean and finished look, so we're still working on how all that gets finished out, and that comes together over the next few days as they really tighten things up, and then those last groups come in and they bring in the furniture, and then our caterer brings in their tables and the tablecloths, and they lay it out and they make everything look pretty at the end. The Build-A-Bars get into place and are opened up, and suddenly you see it all come together in these last couple days. And even what we'll see here today, while it does look nice, to come a couple days from now and see what's in place will just blow your mind to see how far it comes these last few days, because
Sure.
a lot of those things don't take long to do or to dress up. It's really the infrastructure and these other things, as you talk about leveling out buildings and putting down flooring and carpets and rails and railings and everything that goes with it. That's the stuff that really takes a great deal of time.
It's the cherry on top for us. We bring out the peach cobbler, and the last thing that goes on is the cherry. It's the
Right.
Instagram moment.
It's what brings it all together, right?
Right? Yeah.
You make the latte. It's not the latte. It's the decoration you put on the
Correct,
tops.
correct.
I mean, it takes us 3 months to build it and another month and a half to take it all down. So they think of it as a
Wow.
4-day event.
Is
and
it
is definitely not
It's a
that.
calendar event. It's a
Well,
calendar year.
Yep, and I mean, you take not just how long it takes to build that. We need to know how much we're building.
Yeah.
If we build too much, kills us, costs too much. If we don't build enough, my sales team's not given the chance to maximize
And you don't
our
want to have a dead
opportunities.
activation space.
Right, so you've got 3 months to build. Well, all that had to get put on a truck and moved out here and planned, so that's 2 weeks earlier, and then the permitting in advance of that. So 4 months out, we have to know pretty much what we're building and how much of it. So your sales team has spent their time before that on their process of trying to determine how
Well,
much
yeah,
to do.
because they have a sales deck too that says that, oh yeah, part of your sponsorship is that you'll be on this map.
Absolutely.
If you don't give us money before this map is made, you're losing that opportunity
There's
to
a
get
lot
in
of
front
hard
all those-
deadlines. Yeah, there's a lot we've got to think about.
Cool.
So
Well, so I think it was either last year or 2 years ago, close friend, Northwestern Mutual, they had a suite up here and was able to come up. I think Tiger was in that tournament that year.
Okay.
But we had a good Tiger roar on this hole. I'm not sure which hole this is, but
yeah, so we're behind 15 right now, and this is when we came to the event and saw an opportunity to add more. We wanted to create
this is massive.
a real fan zone. Yeah.
This is like massive.
So the giant double-decker Build-A-Bar, we build the floor around it, will actually get dropped right into here. So you'll see a double-decker with music from it, taps on all
Is this
sides.
concrete put in or is this concrete
This
here?
concrete exists, so we work around it. Yeah.
Wow. This is a beautiful pad.
Signature food and drink partners in here. Harrah's is actually, they named the city they're in Funner.
Yes.
And we call this Funner at 15. So we have our post party here, DJs Friday night, Saturday night, after play that you come out here. But this backs up to our cabanas and the Fringe. The Fringe by Harrah's is another thing. We wanted kind of a balance between the high-end corporate hospitality and the general grounds ticket. And the Fringe is kind of like that high-energy sports bar vibe.
Cool.
You get into a tent. It's not an inclusive area, but it's got unique food and drink offerings, a little more energy, and then Harrah's comes and dresses it up and makes it really that kind of aspirational step up from a general grounds ticket of how do I get in there and how do I have that kind of elevated experience without going necessarily all the way up to corporate. That's kind of what this represents for
That's
us.
so awesome.
So we can walk in and show
Yeah,
you what's in
check
there.
it out.
Another great lipstick example. They're, I saw an email today. They're bringing in all kinds of stuff to dress this area up.
Yeah.
Out here, they're going to bring giant, bar games and things, giant Jenga and beanbag
How long have
toss.
they been a partner?
About 5 years with us.
5 years. And is it a year-to-year partnership, or do they do
We usually do
extended?
multi-years with
Multi-years?
them, and what's great is they like to get together early and talk about how to raise it to a next level. We've done speakeasies with them. We've done some other unique activations. You can see they're starting to put
Wow.
some of their stuff up here now,
Yeah.
but this just scratches the surface of what they eventually do here. Totally dress the area up. And again, when furniture's out and the
That's-
concessions are happening, you've got the ocean views,
Unbelievable.
you've got the golf views. It's really spectacular.
What's getting built over there? Is that UCSD?
How far out are you looking?
Right there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
UCSD's got about $6 billion going into the campus
That's
over
it?
the next couple years. So yeah,
Hopefully some golf fans.
they're growing quickly. Over on this side are our cabanas. Again, as we looked between a traditional suite and something that represented a little bit more casual environment while still being upgraded, I think we all have a kind of magic association with the term cabana. And that's what these represent. It's kind of this indoor-outdoor food and cabana type furniture will all get loaded in here. So again, as you see the transformation of this area over the next few days, you get in that kind of high-end beachy furniture back here. We'll decorate the fronts, set up the bars, get everything in place. You've got great views. You look across to the ocean, but you still got the energy in the back.
Can you explain more about the Century Club?
Sure. Yeah, the Century Club, been around for 60 years. We are the host organization of the PGA Tour stop in San Diego. So much like the Padres are kind of a team that the league needs various teams so their players can compete, and MLB really is about the athletes. The PGA Tour is about the athletes, and they need places for their players to compete. And so when they look into a certain city, the tour isn't going to operate the event there, just like MLB isn't going to operate the team. They need somebody to take it over. Hence The Century Club was a group of business leaders who said we will serve as kind of a board of directors and create an organization with a staff as well, and we will serve as the host in that city. And in many cities, the host organizations are nonprofits, much like we are.
Is everyone a nonprofit
No,
for PGA?
It's changed. There was a time there were a lot more nonprofits, but frankly, to really operate well, the agency model and others came into play too, where an agency says, hey, we can do this in multiple cities, we can move our staff around, we can become expert at it. And in many cases, the agency model looks stronger than the host organization. We're fortunate here that we've got a strong host organization, and we've got a great staff, we've got great support by our board. San Diego is America's biggest small town, as we all know. So someone who understands the local fabric and environment is helpful, and that's what the Century Club, having been here for so long, really does get. The way we support the community, we support local charities, the way we work with the city, with PD, with fire, with the other groups, has really allowed us to maintain clear definition that we can do this as well as any agency that's out there. And it's allowed us to kind of hold on to this event, keep elevating it.
It's kind of a form of a strategic partnership if you have a nonprofit that's working with the city-owned property, right?
Right.
So it's in the city, it's in everyone's best interest for this thing to be amazing.
It's a very unique model. Again, many of these tour events are held at country clubs or other places where the model looks very different. We're all rowing in the same direction here. The tourism message benefits the city directly. Being on national television, showing off what San Diego is what's great about San Diego, driving the hotel business and the economic impact of our event. The city's invested in it. So when we work with them about their course or about, again, safety and security and police and the various other aspects that go into running the event, it's great to have a partner who is completely committed to what you're doing and sees the benefits.
It's great.
I get a lot of requests this week and last week and next week to go to the stations.
No.
And I'm just going, A, I'm busy,
yes,
and it's really hard to leave, but B, I'm the next guy up.
Yes.
And that's fine if I'm doing that for them. I'm filling their time, but for our benefits and exposure of the event, you have to see this.
You have to see it.
And I think too, and I'm guilty of it. I grew up here with a stigma in my mind of what this event was.
Yeah.
Ropes, quiet signs, can you even bring your phone? I'm not a big golf guy. You absolutely
You better bring your phone. You better bring your phone, you better post.
And we're pushing apps and social media, and there's so much, I mean, you better bring your phone.
Yes.
And yet there's still a stigma that exists, rightly so to a degree, of what it is. I use the racetrack on opening day as a great example. We have all come to know that that is the social event in town that you want to be at.
Yes.
But stripping it back to what it is, if you were to tell me, hey, do you want to go to the big horse race? I'm not a horse racing fan.
Yes.
And if that's how it was presented to me, I don't know that I'd be excited to do that.
Yep.
And I don't know that I'm a big sports fan. I've worked in sports, but if you said, hey, do you want to go to this big tennis match? I don't know, I'd be excited. But if you showed me what Indian Wells is all about and all the other things going on, you're going to have my interest. And that's been a big challenge here that we continue to overcome, is just getting them out there and letting them see it once. Because to a person, when they come back, they say, this isn't what I expected. I wasn't sure how long I'd be out there. I was out there much longer than I thought. I can't wait to come back next year. I saw all these things I didn't expect to be out there because, again, in our mind's eye, and frankly, what we were for a long time was a much simpler golf experience. Again.
Well, everything that you're doing is working, because just having the San Diego Gulls, Matt Savant, they had all of their partners come, and I brought my wife, and she was reluctant to come. You know, she doesn't, she's not a golf fan, but it's like, you know, we're going to go support the Gulls, and it's a beautiful place. She came and had a phenomenal time, and it's, once you get here, then that's where the story, that's where the magic happens.
It is. We're blessed to have this venue. It's, you know,
it sells itself.
We all talk about the cost of living
back
here.
Back to what you said,
what
like
pay,
you have to be here to get it on camera.
You have to see it. You have to see it.
You have to smell it. I mean, that's the Pacific Ocean.
We talk so much, and all events talk about their field, their golfers, the players, and we get asked, oh, you know, who's in this year? And I say, our best player is there every year and always makes the cut and is there on the weekend, and that's the ocean. And
I love that.
As weird as that sounds, all these other events on tour don't have this opportunity.
Correct.
And we pay the taxes we pay and the cost of living we pay to live here. This is what it's for. And to come out and celebrate it, unfortunately, there aren't many places in town you get to have this sort of a celebration of everything great that is San Diego. So to come out in that time of year and come together and see this and enjoy our weather compared to what other people are probably dealing with around the country, it's really a unique experience. It's evolved,
amazing.
and we want to show it to more people and let them come see it.
I agree. What about media revenue? So rights.
Depends on what the organization
sport?
is. So the Padres don't have their web rights.
Okay.
Because and
MLB.
social, because MLB.com did
Okay.
it, which was smart, and then
And
they
their
get a cut.
social?
They control their social very much.
The
as far
MLB
as-
controls the Padres social.
Yep, as far as what you can post general stuff, but like sponsor activation, like you start to go next level, they want to watch that just because it is an advertising mechanism still.
Well, that's the magic. That's the stuff that I'm talking about.
Right.
That's the problem. That's why you can't grow that, is because of that oversight. If you don't have the freedom in your own market to
Right.
activate with the sponsor, then it makes it very difficult.
It's the blessing and the curse of their model
Yes.
of bringing them all together, the power of the rights for giant sponsorships.
Which is where all the money's made.
Which is why
currently.
the MLB model made a lot of sense. MLBAM was great. I was there with the Padres when that transition happened and questioned it because of some of the controls we lost, but saw the power of a consistent quality website that even though they all were set up the same way, they were great. They were quality. And
What
it made
years
us
are we
all look
talking?
better. This started late 90s, early 2000s when MLB came in and said, we're going to take all of the rights. But when you looked at it, certain teams' websites weren't as much of a priority at that time. They didn't look great.
2007, the first iPhone came out.
Correct.
Changed everything for everyone.
The world
I don't care
changed.
what business you're in.
Absolutely. And that's it, is a lot of time you're trying to sit and talk about and anticipate technology, but it's moving so fast now you can't. And there's a balance between falling behind and being nimble enough to jump quickly. And so in the models where the rights are all pulled together, in some hands you've got more resources to make sure you're out ahead of those curves and the first in. In other ways, like you said, in a local market, you can't jump. We did some things here with an influencer day and some other things. Having complete freedom of our rights is fantastic.
This was last year?
Just a few weeks ago.
Oh, just a few weeks ago. Okay.
The power of that and what you can impact very quickly by just inviting some folks out and giving them a behind-the-scenes tour and them choosing to share it on their own, and how many people you could reach so quickly with.
And an engaged audience. They're super fans. They've bought into the story or the brand or the influencer, and they're following them for a reason. And if they make a recommendation, you trust that recommendation.
The magic term used to be impressions, and I think that term is really becoming outdated. It's not about how many people had an opportunity to see something or saw something. It's how many people connected to something. Because we're all getting so many more impressions in our own lives every day because it's just constant. There's stuff everywhere bombarding us. How you stand out from that is really essential, and that's where this influencer world is interesting, because when it's genuine, we connect to it. We all go to a restaurant, we look at the ratings. We're all looking for consumer feedback on any product we order. Everything we do these days, we're looking for other people to tell us if we should invest our own time in that.
It's not that we buy into it, it's one of the filter processes.
Absolutely, and we all catch ourselves doing it, and to sit here and be a hypocrite and do it in your personal life, but then get in your business life and forget about that, you're really missing out.
Some spokesperson for digital hospitality right here. It's exactly right. But that's the world that we live in. My wife's, before we go somewhere, she checks Yelp. She doesn't even look at the menu. She looks at her phone of the photos that other users have come and uploaded, so she can order off of that.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the world we live in.
Our
But if as a restaurant I go, I'm not going to go on Yelp, or I'm not going to claim my page, or I'm not going to update the photos, that makes me a hypocrite.
We have to understand what and how the consumer process is taking place.
Yeah.
And that starts with an event like ours. People aren't asking themselves, do I want to go to the tournament? People, their real underlying first issue, it gets into what are the obstacles. Transportation is number one for people. Parking or Uber in these days, rideshare. There was a model years back. You went to Qualcomm Stadium, you parked, you got on a bus, you rode here, and you did that because that was the norm and it was perfectly acceptable. No one stands for that any longer. We have conveniences that we're used to. So when you think about the tournament, and even when you think about Uber, you think, okay, well, they know where to drop me off. Will I find a car afterwards, or is it going to be hard to track one down? Is there going to be a long wait for a vehicle on the way out? Am I going to get a 4x charge because there's not enough Ubers available? That is honestly our first messaging charge we have to get people past.
Yes.
Is saying, look, We will help you with the logistics. We've thought of this. We'll make it easy. We're not going to extort you.
Yes.
We're not going to put you through too much of a challenge. If you know something's fantastic, if the Rolling Stones are playing in town, you know you're going to put up with some stuff, and you know what you're signing up for.
Mm-hmm.
When it's an event like ours, if you haven't been, your openness to putting up with stuff is very narrow.
Correct.
So the better job we can do in letting people know we've thought of that, and come on out, and we're going to make transportation easy. We have healthy food options and gluten-free food options. We're going to guide you through the experience with course maps and other things, so you'll know where you're going and know what to do. We've got to answer those questions up front, because people these days in doing their research, they look in advance to know what's going on. You don't go to the restaurant anymore and get surprised by what's on the menu. You often know what's on the menu before you get there. You might even know what you're going to order. Yeah.
Like, no one wants to have a bad experience.
Absolutely.
When you go to the restaurant, I don't want my wife to order something she doesn't like. Because even if I love the food, she's not, guess what, we're not coming back.
That's it.
So, I mean, you said that so well because you guys are in the hospitality business, but they had to bring, I mean, that's thinking differently than just a golf tournament. And yes, you have to take care of the golfers, you have to take care of the athletes, but this is bigger.
Right. I can't control who's going to sign up. I can't control if that person makes the weekend. It's fantastic when Tiger's in. Does he make the cut? Does he compete? A few years ago, he had a back issue and withdrew. If I make him the reason to come, we basically, in those situations, have let down the fan base by leading them to believe that that was your purpose in coming. One thing about golf, unlike a traditional sports event, if you're in hospitality, you're going to see Tiger for, unless you go walking around, maybe 2 minutes when he comes through your hole.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's TVs in the suites, and you'll see the rest of the golfers come through.
You'll hear the sounds too.
Absolutely. But if that was your reason, you're going to miss out. If we explain to you all the great things and all the great reasons, and you come out and experience it for yourself, you're going to find yourself fulfilled.
For sure. Well, let's go check out the rest of the spot. That was amazing. You just summarized my thesis probably better than I have. That is the world that we're living in. From the fact that we have media in town that obviously would love to have you on, but the fact that you've got to get ready.
It's a combination. Get ready, show it, and how do we
show
stand out?
Correct.
How is our voice different?
Correct.
If we're the next up behind the desk,
yes.
Is that grabbing someone's attention?
Correct. And is it getting produced for the internet first?
Right.
Is it produced for Evergreen? Because that's the thing, that all it takes is one person to search and to find it, and to that one conversation that says, oh, well, now we're activating.
Can it be chopped? Can it be shared?
Yes.
How does that get out there?
How long is the deal with Farmers?
7 more years on this
7 more
extension.
years.
Yeah.
That is impressive.
Well, the value in that is it lets you really plan ahead and be strategic. If you're
every year, if you're trying to renew or
exactly, we used to be caught up in 2-year deals, and you're spending a lot more time worrying about recapping and extending than you were about let's know we've got you and have the security where we can start getting ahead and planning.
Correct. Is Farmers part of the PGA as well?
As a title sponsor, with what they spend, it's high level. They sponsor a few other events. OMPs typically are one who don't title events as much as they sponsor at a smaller level multiple events.
Got it. Wow. That is just...
Yeah, we can go down in the front row if you want or whatever.
Yeah. Let's go to the front row.
Down here.
The Pacific Ocean is a nice partner, marketing partner.
When the weather's right, it's tough to beat, that's for sure.
Wow.
So, as a part of our mission as a charity, we're always looking at ways to utilize the assets that we have that can add value to the people that we work with. And so, military and at-risk youth have been a big part of what we've been about for years and years. And so, over on the 13th hole, we have our Patriots Outpost. It's a place where military, active duty, and their dependents can get in for free food and drink. It's hosted by the Harbaugh Foundation.
Really?
And it's a fantastic way to see those people get a chance to relax and spend time with their family and be out here and take all of this in. We do complimentary tickets for the military. We do a lot of great things in that space. And again, to an at-risk youth, we've done a lot of great charitable programs, but we realized there was another segment that was important to our title sponsor, and it's important to us that we wanted to really raise up, and that was the first responder space. Farmers, obviously, in the insurance category is looking at disaster recovery as something that's very big in their business.
Yes.
And when you look at what they do as an insurance company and who they rely on in that disaster recovery space, the first responders are the first ones there.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to really look at how to do more in that space. And what's really interesting is that space really can use some of the assets we have that others can't. The exposure we can bring is something a lot of these at-risk youth charities can't utilize. We can't show those kids, unfortunately.
Yes.
We can't talk about some of the stuff that they work on. They do amazing work and really good things, but they can't always get value from being in the telecast or other things like that. With the first responder space, awareness and just saying thank you is such a big part of what goes on. You know, the recognition, the awareness, and even in a military town where obviously our military is extremely important, and we in our city are always thanking and raising up our military, that first responder segment does a lot to put their lives on the line. When we have these fires in California, you have your own version of a deployment where a firefighter is leaving their family suddenly, and it could be gone for weeks at a time, and they're in dangerous situations fighting fires and doing things, and their family doesn't know when they're back. So again, while very different than what our military faces, there are thematics there that these people, when something bad is going on, they're there. The police similarly are put in situations where they're always out there thinking about us and watching out for us. And so this hole, the 14th hole, follows the Patriots Outpost on 13. Farmers wanted to really honor first responders, so they're going to be doing a lot at this hole, hosting first responders. We've had the American flag, pin flag on 13, and uniformed military for the last 5 years, holding the pin flag so that the American flag never touches the ground, like you would normally see when they place a pin flag down. Well, this year we're going to start on 14 having uniformed first responders doing the same.
Amazing.
They're going to have the first responder flag, which is an American flag with a little bit of the coloring changed out to honor the colors of the first responders. And so you will see back-to-back holes honoring our military and then our first responders. So it's a really cool initiative beyond the charitable things they're
And
doing
that's somebody
financially
actually on
and
the
otherwise.
course,
This-
in play.
We worked with the PGA Tour,
Wow.
and they'll stand behind the green, out of the way. And as the caddies and the pros step up and remove the flag, they'll actually hand it over to a uniformed first responder to hold it in place until play is done on that hole, then get the flag back and replace
And is
it.
it going to be one responder for the day?
We'll work a couple responders
Couple
through each
responders
day.
through?
Absolutely.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah.
But, so that's something that you're doing something with great intention. It's all heart, and it's part of the Century Club. It's part of the mission of farmers. It's activation. But you actually have to get approval from the PGA. So you need to sell the idea in a way that doesn't affect field of play,
Yep.
right? But do
Absolutely.
it in a way that's actually what the intention is, which is, are they doing it any other tournament?
Other events have done the military,
Okay.
and a lot of that followed after some of our efforts there. And we're the first to be doing it with the responders.
It's amazing.
And to your point, not only does the PGA Tour have to get on board with that, but the agencies, you know, the military, having their people in uniform out there taking the time and making sure that there's an awareness that we're honoring them. It's not a position of service,
Yes.
which there was a sensitivity to in the beginning. And it's
Okay.
the same thing now as we've had to work with police, fire, other first responder groups to have uniformed folks out here, you know, when they represent their agency.
Sure.
And again, would never want that position to be anything but a position of honor, not
Yes.
ever deemed as they're out here performing a task.
Yes.
It's meant to be a thank you, a recognition, and an awareness. And that shows up back to national and international exposure. It's really meant as a thank you.
Yeah.
As the players come through here, they tip their hats, they shake hands with the attendant and the people up here in the areas watching who are in uniform, and it just really is a positive step towards kind of that awareness of some groups that we all appreciate, but there are times where that appreciation is a little bit lost. And anytime you can kind of raise that profile again, that's a big part of what we're trying to do.
That's incredible. That's really cool. I'm so happy that you guys are doing that.
Yeah.
That's why sports are unique, you know, especially when you start thinking differently. It gives you a platform to allow, you know, like you said, the military and first responders, the people that allow us to enjoy a leisurely sport like golf in the way that we do, and the amount of money that what's the economic impact we're talking about in San Diego?
Oh, it's close to
Fun
$50
question,
million.
right?
Yeah.
How much?
It's close to $50 million.
$50 million every year?
Yeah. When you look at a build that takes 3 months to do and another month and a half to take down, those are vendors from out of town who are coming here and staying with us and spending their money and often in hotels. Then as the event gets closer, more and more people coming on site. CBS, the Golf Channel, all the media alone, they build almost an entire media village now. And
How many media credentials?
Those folks are staying there, and there's hundreds of media credentials. This year with Tiger chasing 83, it's going to be interesting how we can even manage the number of credential requests that will come our way. Everybody thinks they're in the media when they have a chance
That's
to
correct.
come see
I mean,
Tiger.
even barbecue people think they're in the media.
I tell you what, yeah. Well, if your barbecue's good enough, I think you earn it.
That's
so
fair
it's a
enough.
little different.
That's fair enough. Yeah, no, it's incredible. Like I said, that's to have the global stage, but to have the forward thinking, especially back to the cell phones and bringing inside the ropes and outside the ropes. The world that we live in, there's nothing to hide here. You don't have.
No.
You want this celebrated. You
Yeah.
want people posting. You want people hashtagging. You want people on TikTok. You want them on Instagram, on Facebook. You want them going. As long as it's not disrupting the play.
And that's what's really been embraced. You know, golf is a very traditional game, and they have recognized the changing landscape and are really adapting with that and looking at how their athletes have their social presence, questioning, you know, where photography and shooting action and things fit, even questions about, you know, guys tweeting after, potentially tweeting during.
Yes.
Gambling.
I didn't even think about that.
And
That's right.
access to gambling and live action is something that's very much on the table as the consumer kind of is asking for that.
Well, we can't pretend that it's not happening.
We
You
can't.
have to find out what's moving the needle, right?
Yeah.
What's moving the needle, and what is, because athletes are going to change.
The tour approved
7
gambling
years
last
from now.
year.
Wow.
It's going to be very soon where you can sit, and this sport is very easy to work into an enjoyable gaming and gambling experience.
Yes.
The cadence allows for a lot of breaks in play where odds and things can be reset. Betting on a par 3 closest to the hole, on a par 5, who's going to drive it the longest? Will they be in the fairway?
Wow.
The pace sets up very well to having that opportunity both on site and watching the telecast to have that live gaming. Some of the traditional American sports don't set up as well for it because each play happens so quickly after another that you don't really have an opportunity to reset odds or get bets in. In the NFL, right after a play, you see the running back leave and 2 wide receivers come out, and it's happening so fast.
Yes.
Baseball, if the
It has to
if the pitcher works quickly, you don't get that break to kind of reset things. And
Interesting.
the sport sets up well for it, and it
We're
will
talking
be
about mobile gaming.
absolutely.
Yeah. Any partners locked in yet with PGA?
It's very new.
MGM?
It's
No,
very
they-
new.
they're working on it?
There's a responsibility too that goes
Yeah.
with wading into the waters, and so the tour is doing their diligence and
Because
looking
it's
at how
hard
that
to
works.
age verify, do some age verification on a mobile phone, right?
So you've got age verification, and then like anything, there's always those trying to find their ways around the system. So keeping the integrity of the sport out here, fan comment, latency, which is how quickly something happens and how quickly it bounces to space and back and gets out there. There's a lot of people far smarter than me spending a lot of time in rooms working through these things to make sure that it's intelligent in the way that's introduced, that it's safe, it's additive to the experience. But what it will also do is bring a lot of people into the sport who weren't there before.
If you look at the growth of the NFL, it was fantasy football and gambling.
Absolutely.
Really, that propelled the NFL. For a fantasy football to pretend that people aren't gambling with their buddies. I mean, I've been in fantasy football league, 12 years at least.
Right.
But I care about all these individual players on different teams.
Right.
Now I'm watching different games, and I care.
Yes, absolutely.
And the pot size doesn't matter. It could be $20.
Yep.
But I care and I'm invested because of the friends that I'm playing against.
And that's here. You're going to learn things about players you'd never heard of
Yes.
because on that hole you decided that you wanted to get behind them and they happen to be closest to the pin, and suddenly you feel some connection. And we see it on a very basic level here in areas like our Grey Goose Lounge on a par 3 where people are out just eating and drinking and doing their thing, but I kid you not, how many cups I see being passed between groups because they've created their own form of that.
Right.
It increases engagement. It adds to the experience. It adds to the fun. So while
Yes.
it's not sanctioned or anything we're pushing, it's a part of
It
the
happens.
fabric
If we
of
pretend that it's not happening, we
entertainment.
would
Yep.
just be kidding ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what else you got to show us?
I mean, I think you've got a good sense of these
How
two
about
things.
where all the action's happening? A little peek behind where the
We can show you like in the operations
Yeah.
space and some of the other areas about all
all
that
your
goes
people.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can even see if Andy's here. He could give you guys a quick snapshot
Perfect.
of what's
Perfect.
going on.
Let's
with
do
that.
it. Back to what you were saying about Del Mar and opening day. You know, Craig Dato's a close friend, and we work
Right.
with him, and we activate there, and they've literally been the envy of all of horse racing because of the event activation by turning it into it's cool as ever.
Well, and they're the envy of horse racing because they're not horse racing.
Correct.
And they were willing
They're
and
an
brave
event
enough
company.
to do that.
Yes.
And as we've gotten to PGA Tour meetings, when we started talking about this 7-8 years ago, we were looked at as pariahs and the crazy people. And now we go to those same meetings and they're preaching to us about it.
And they have notebooks?
Yeah.
They're taking notes?
They're preaching to us about it, and it's like, oh, yeah, I've heard this game plan before.
Yeah.
So that's a part of what goes on. I mean, again, to the great work Craig's team has done, their billboards aren't covered with horses.
No.
And their reason to come is not about who's going to be running the 4th race. Now, they do a great service to their guests who are horse racing fans.
Correct.
And they've got tons of those. And we have diehard golf fans, and we absolutely provide incredible golf here, incredible competition. So we are still servicing them, but those people, even the golf fans, still loves food, drink, experiential things. And that's what Craig provides for his people too, is he delivers on the horse racing, but he also delivers on everything else.
It's amazing. The world is changing. Back to the building a website is no longer a website if it's not built for the mobile phone first.
Right.
Tell me about the app.
We're working to keep building the app. The biggest challenge out here is the needs on Wi-Fi and bandwidth, because you see there's no infrastructure.
Yes.
Time Warner and Spectrum aren't wiring this area because other than we're here, there's no need for it.
Yes.
And then suddenly we come out here with 100,000 people, and then you think of all these
people.
CBS cameras pulling
Oh,
bandwidth,
yeah.
and
Correct.
all of the point of sale
Yes.
on Square pulling it.
Yes.
The demand gets dramatic.
What is the demand?
It just keeps growing, and well, you know, everything's changing. What does
Yes.
5G change?
That's
And
correct.
so, for us, year to year, it's hard to even plan ahead of how do we get here when here looks different 6 months from now.
Yes.
So, app is a very big topic, but it's also don't create something amazing and not be able to deliver it to people. So, spending some energy on that. Let me see if I can track Andy down.
And
Andy is my right hand. He's our SVP of Operations and Events.
Yep.
Sure.
You're good.
Just keep kind of driving straight up.
Yeah, he's texting.
Yeah, no worries. Texting and golf driving.
That's-
Texting and driving.
I could get arrested for this?
It's only fine on the golf course. That's where voice technology will change when we do this episode 3 years from now. We'll just be talking to Alexa or Steve or Siri or whoever it is. The virtual assistant. We'll get a hold of Andy.
We'll take you by our operations yard. You can kind of see where they start this from. It's amazing though when they bring in the tenting and they stack up all of this equipment. You're just like, you're going to put all that stuff out here? And it disappears quick, and it's all over the golf course. Even, you know, back here, back of house, you know, the commissary is going in today. Our caterer moves on site tomorrow.
Who's the caterer?
Behind the scenes,
Behind the
BTS.
scenes, yep.
Have you ever dealt with them?
They were at Wonderfront.
Okay, yeah, John and Sarah are great. They cater the Olympics.
Did they get the 2028 bid?
They do.
We're working on it?
They do parts of it. I might take us up here quick.
Up here, we're going up to the, yeah. Just act like you know where you're going.
So yeah, they do NBC's catering at the
Right.
Olympics always. Go straight through,
Straight
and then we're
through.
gonna go back inside that blue fence just to give you a quick look at the operations yard. We're gonna go up here to the right.
You know Marty can't drive.
What's that?
You know Marty can't.
I jog. You
He's
know
been
I
driving-
run.
He's been driving very well, actually.
They give me a hard time because I'm usually on foot because once a lot of traffic gets out here, golf carts are pointless.
Yes.
And I'm in pretty decent shape, so I'm known to jog
You're running man.
or just get places
Yes.
quick that way, and it's faster than a cart, so they think it's all hilarious.
And
And
I
then
think it's hilarious that you're getting your steps in.
then they give me grief about it. It's like I got nothing to say to you.
Wow.
Let me see if Andy's here quick, and if he is, oh good, there he is. We'll be
Tackman,
fast.
Shawn.
This is Shawn.
Oh, Shawn?
What's going on? How are
Shawn
you?
catered our media center a few years ago.
Nice.
Yeah, we did the barbecue catering on the Sunday that the golf tournament got canceled and moved to Monday.
That was horrendous.
It was great working with the media and giving them barbecue,
I
giving them a
remember-
reason to actually have,
Everyone
you
loves
know.
barbecue.
They
I
had a
remember
great
coming to
time.
your tent, and I was so hungry and so ready to try your stuff. And you're like, Marty, come on. And we were like talking, Andy and I had to call the
Marty, do you
evac
need
that
a
day.
hug?
And I was like, this is going to be one of the darkest days of my life because we're going to call a public evac that is either going to save lives or get us fired. So Yeah.
I've lived in San Diego my whole life, and I've never seen weather like that where trees were getting uprooted.
Oh man, yeah.
It's just not-
Eucalyptus aren't the safest trees.
Yeah, it was crazy. So you're the right hand?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What does that mean?
he
what does that
knows
entail?
That's
all
what
the
he tells
all
me,
the
right?
smart questions you asked me that I
Yeah,
hemmed and hawed over.
You're like,
he gives
I
the real
don't know.
answers
Pretty
to
sure
him.
You probably did an all right job answering.
He asked.
How many additional golf carts are we talking about
That we bring
that
in?
you bring in?
144.
144, and
and
that's
then
for who?
76 more for
That's for all.
Susan.
Yeah, and we have all the vendors, operational partners that come in who need them, as well as like the PGA Tour support.
So you have to distribute all of those carts.
Chris on our team does that. Yeah.
Is there a master board that does that? Like,
Where's that master spreadsheet?
yeah,
So
master
then everyone
spreadsheet.
everyone
Digital.
ends up
I mean,
gets
I like it.
labeled. So.
Everyone gets labeled and everyone checks it out properly.
Yeah, they have
And
to
they ever
sign
all
it.
get
They have to actually
returned?
sign a golf cart waiver.
Yeah, of course, legal.
Things have changed. Well, yeah, you get a few guys in a hurry running over feet, and all of a sudden everybody's
When the
signing
tour
waivers.
comes in, and like with CBS and everyone else, I would say we have between 480 and 500 carts on this property at any one time.
500 carts,
Insane.
Working their way around
and then you have
tens of thousands of
you
people.
have the VIP, the people that are
Well, we don't allow VIPs to drive carts.
yeah.
We just have that one glider shuttle that takes
Yeah.
people around.
The
That's
glider
about it.
shuttle, that's
Yep.
the one.
But all the things you and I were talking about, the cadence of things coming in.
Yes.
That's all Andy orchestrating that area, from the tents and infrastructure, then the flooring, then the power, and each thing that comes in underneath, starting that whole build. You asked about how much fencing. I mean, this is the man
12,000
who.
feet of fencing?
Fencing, way up over that. About
Over that?
Yeah.
So I was
Several
talking
miles.
several miles.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fencing, and that's for access.
Yeah.
Multiple different points of
A lot of
access.
it's for back of house though too.
Okay. And then signage? You
Signage,
do
we bring
that?
in a company from we bring in a company though from
Yeah.
Phoenix to do that. Yeah.
You
you
park
can
an
ask,
RV
yeah,
on site and
anything
do
that's
that.
like temporary.
If
here,
it's on the map, you deal with it.
right. So our team does. We all do. So I mean, these are the people that make it happen, from AV or security, power distribution, restrooms, tenting, all that. So
Mm-hmm.
each individual section of that is usually one company. Like fencing, for instance, is two. Fencing and restrooms and barricade are all one company, but it's just working with all of them, and everyone owns their own area because they're professionals in their spot.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So, yeah.
Well, it makes it easier. Would you say 90% of your work is done before lipstick day?
I'd say pretty much. Yeah.
You're doing the bulk of the calendar year until lipstick day, and then
Right.
you're
You
overseeing.
only get one shot to get it right.
Yeah.
So
And then the teardown's not easy
Oh,
either,
yeah.
because everybody wants to get home, but it has to be taken down in reverse order of how it was
Yes.
built up.
so it's 10 weeks up, and 6 weeks down.
Because
we
a lot of the stuff is you don't own either, right?
Right. We don't own anything.
That's even better.
Yeah, I mean, it truly is a blank slate. Like
Yeah.
you would think we come and there are certain things in place. He has very little to work with. Some other events still have restrooms that are permanent on site, or power run certain places or other things, and not so in our case.
Wow, it's incredible. Well, I'll let you get back to work.
It's a pleasure meeting
Sounds
you.
like you got a lot of work to do.
All right.
Yes, Mother Nature participates. Life's a little easier on all the stuff that we're working
Yeah,
on.
for sure.
So some of the things that you think of an outdoor event, the things you'd really capitalize on,
Yes.
are beyond our control. So we do our best to work with those who have the rights and make it all click.
Yes.
But it is different when we rent this course. You would assume certain rights automatically came to us that do not.
How much for MLB, like for a team, how much does the retail, what part of the pie is retail?
It depends a lot on the team. The percentage of the pie might always be somewhat similar, but you take fan loyalty,
Like the Steelers or the Yankees?
the Red Sox, you look at the type of retail sales that they're going to have because of fan affinity, and not just in your own market. There's probably places in the U.S. where the Red Sox merchandise in that market outsells the team there.
Yes.
Red Sox are selling hats all over the U.S. When you go to Walmart right now, I bet you they've got Red Sox hats for sale
They
too.
probably do.
But I guarantee you, if you go to the Walmart in Boston, they don't have a Padre hat sitting on the counter.
You're probably right.
What's up, Sunshine? How you doing, bud?
Woo!
So in that scenario, you would say they do a lot more in merchandise than the Padres do. But then if you looked at their overall revenue pie, they also do a lot more than the Padres do. So the percentage of that revenue in retail may be similar. We're just talking about a lot bigger pie.
Yep. Interesting. So tell me about the qualification process for the influencers.
Yeah,
Since you guys are on the cutting edge of doing that, it's really all businesses, all events. I mean, if you're accepting in influencers, you have to somehow qualify.
Yeah, it's funny. The influencer is a term that's getting thrown around, and it reminds me a lot of about 10 or 12 years ago when Hispanic marketing was a big term here, and everybody needed it, but very few companies stopped long enough to understand what it meant.
Yes.
And, you know, especially in San Diego, the Hispanic market was very diverse. You had first generation.
Yes.
You had third generation who didn't even speak Spanish, and you
Yes.
couldn't attack them all the same. And you had to really take the time to understand it if you were going to capitalize. But many companies just had budget and said, we just need this. They didn't even know what it meant. And I'd put influencers into that category as well. Everybody's so quick to say influencer and doesn't know what it means. We could sit here and think that somebody who has 1 million people following them is a better fit than somebody who has 20,000, right? Well, if those 1 million don't live locally, they're not going to drive the needle for the things we need. And
what do you need? What's your top need?
It's awareness. It's spreading the word. It's, you know, true
branding.
Yeah, true belief and messaging as, hey, this is unique. You need
can't miss.
You need an influencer who doesn't look like a golfer.
Yes.
Doesn't talk like a golfer and isn't a golf person to say, hey, I went out and this thing was awesome, and you need to check it out for yourself. When they can say that genuinely, not when you purchased them saying that and it comes off as, go check out the Farmers Insurance Open. Instead, they come out here and they're taking pictures and having an experience and raving about what they see and do.
Yes.
That's when it gets really genuine and really powerful. So we looked at what influencers could represent for us, and we said, let's not get overly enamored with the quantity of
followers.
The people they have. Let's talk about the quality of the followers and then the quality of the person.
And what was the platform split, if you will? Are we Instagram first?
We definitely Instagram heavy.
Instagram heavy.
We're finding that where things seem to be headed in demographics we're at, ability to hold things and have them come back to life months from now and have memories. Instagram was good. We're the first event to have a social host on Instagram.
Okay.
So we're working with a young lady who had a following of her own, but she's able to put word to a lot of the things. So we're not just putting out a picture with words over it. The last thing that was missing was that real person for our own posts.
Yes.
And to bring these influencers or golfers or food experiences to life too, that she can go on, and it's a small media channel. She can go on.
So she becomes essentially the reporter.
She does.
She takes over the channel.
She takes the channel over with us.
Brilliant.
And when we have a new signature food item, she can go to our caterer and talk to them about it and taste it herself and talk and then look and say, hey, I'm going to be out there, give this a try. And her name's Alyssa. She's got her own following she can cross-share with, but as we get with other influencers, Alyssa can invite them out. She can give them a tour or go on a food experience, get to know them. They can post and take traditional pictures, but if they want to spend some time or interview or just create a short video or, you know, all the different ways we see people share on Instagram, she creates those things, shares it cross-platform with them. They're spreading it out, introducing new people because the content she's showing isn't golf content.
Yes.
It's fun. It's experiential. She's inviting these influential people out to have experiences that they're invested in.
Yes.
We're getting them behind the scenes, and it's the kind of content that their people want.
Yes.
So we're providing the value to them. Not that I got another endorsement, because if you have too much endorsing, you're going to lose your followers.
Yes.
We're giving them these unique behind-the-scenes opportunities that are genuine and real.
Once it's genuine, it's the difference between a radio host getting a read, and they're reading a 15-second spot that they have never been to the place of business. They don't know who owns it. They're just literally reading about a car dealership, as opposed to a different radio host that goes and knows the car dealership owner, that knows the family, that can tell you about the sale. Like, all of a sudden, he's become just an extension.
Absolutely.
And you're much more likely to go and do business.
Absolutely. That's what we're focusing our energy on, is providing these experiences, letting these people come in and live and breathe some elements of what we're about. And so often those experiences are that person coming in with a bar of expectations here and leaving with that bar here. And that's when you know you've got the hook in them, because they're not going on and saying, oh, went to Torrey today, it was great. They're choosing to share multiple things that they saw and did, and it's a picture of them, and look how much fun I'm having, you wish you were here, and creating that fear of missing out and that kind of longing to be a part of what's going on, and saying, hey, you want to be like me? You want to have this cool thing happening? You can have it. Come do it. Come be a part of it. So we've seen great success. Traditional media is changing.
Yes.
And the ghosts of traditional media are pretty much gone.
Yes.
And even this is going to become traditional media. That's how we get our content.
Well, this is our first mobile video podcast that Digital Hospitality has ever produced. This was incredible. You just gave us an entire idea of all the moving parts that it takes to put on a PG event, partnering with the city of San Diego and a nonprofit, plus all the activation, plus the digital hospitality side. I mean, really, our thesis is that everyone's in the digital business and everyone's in the hospitality business. Absolutely. If there's not a blending of those two, I don't care what you're selling, I don't care what cause you're trying to raise money for, you have to understand that the world is changing, and then you have to amplify that message by doing the things that you guys are doing.
Absolutely, yeah. It's sensory awareness is what we've kind of called it, and we're giving them all the things that they want. They want the visuals.
Yes.
They can't be there to smell it and taste it, so we have to use the visuals to kind of tell that story. And it's getting around and showing people as much as you can. We want pictures. We expect pictures now, not just words.
Videos, short videos. We also want words. We also want audio. You know, we want to hear from someone like you that's actually running an entire village. You've set up your own village in the city of San Diego, on the bluffs of Torrey Pines, but thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Come out and see us after Lipstick Day. See what it is when the curtains go up, because there's a lot more to come.
Do you bring lipstick to Lipstick Day? Does Marty have his own lipstick?
I will not answer that question because I know you have a lot of great people who watch, and many of those know me. So
oh, that's fantastic.
I'll keep that one to myself.
Well, we couldn't thank you enough. You're amazing.
My pleasure.
That's the best.
We'll do it again.
Absolutely.